you put out these sexual songs, and he was like, well, when you a warrior, you never put your sword down. And when you drop the initial remix, that's when the label said, oh, we need to do this for the album, we need to da. All this shit was going on back in the day. Y'all was cool. When you drop the music, okay, y'all was behind it. Then when they come out with this bullshit documentary, now it's like, okay, let them go. We believe everything they say is good.
All that's telling me is that, hey, we can use you up, we can spit you out, and then we can turn your people against you, and you ain't gonna say shit.
I look at my music like a soldier looks at his sword. You never put your sword down in the midst of a war. I think that would say, oh yeah, he did it. I think that would say all of the things that people want to say about R. Kelly. But the minute Ignition came out, it blew up, and all of a sudden the company's calling me, everybody's calling me, come do an album cover shoot. We got to get the rest of this album done. We got to go there. We got to.
Working for Diddy for 6 years trained me to have to be perfect.
Working for Diddy?
Absolutely.
I love Diddy. You know, he's a good friend of mine. He's a good guy. Is he a good guy?
I don't want to answer that question.
Oh, wow. I think he's a good guy. I'm going to stick up for him.
Welcome to Prima Donna News, where we give unbiased commentary about trending topics, as well as expose the propaganda surrounding Robert Kelly. Make sure to hit the like button, share the content, and ensure all notifications are on all in order to get all notifications from our channel.
You know, Puff Daddy, I'm an entertainer. I entertain people no matter what time of day, you know, whether you like it or not. I go all day, all night.
I will tell you that you do fantastically well.
Yes.
You know, just tremendous. You really, it takes a tough guy. Hey, it takes the brains and it takes the this.
Yeah.
But it also takes a toughness.
Yeah, I go to bed like 4 o'clock.
Well, I really like you. And I would tell you if I didn't. Because, and by the way, I think at a certain point, everyone will.
Beautiful. We all human beings, and a few people were saying I was this, you know, I was this violent character. You know, just because I was breaking people's jaws and arms, and look at me, I'm like, you know, I'm just a passionate young man, and I made a mistake.
Well, everybody's going to get in trouble. It's a question of how do you get out of trouble.
Mm-hmm.
And I did it by working smart. More importantly than anything else is by using my own brain. You know, I've done things, but I'm not in any trouble, and I'm doing well, and I'm making money.
Well, you're making the same mistakes as I am. You may just be able to hide yours a little bit better.
Perhaps, perhaps not. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. See, one of the problems with politics and politicians is that you really can't have done very much wrong, and that means you can't have done very much.
Yeah.
Which is why I have no intention of running for president, and I wouldn't have an intention of running for president, and that's a shame, because that's not the way life should work, I feel.
Well, that's what people can't understand.
Yeah.
You know, we can't be judged by man. God runs this world, you know.
Right. Well, he's done a fantastic job, at least as far as my stuff is concerned. I've done great for the casino business. All 3 of my casinos were rated 4 stars by the Mobile Travel Guide, and they're the only casinos in the United States that are so rated. I built the Taj Mahal, which everyone said that's going to be his downfall. The Taj Mahal, it's over $1 billion building, and it's.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm an enormously successful businessman too. Maybe the greatest of all time. You know, and I'm going to make something good out of it.
Exactly right.
People are going to be mesmerized.
Just as everyone has been running with their clickbait titles revolving this pardon for Diddy, I make it blatantly obvious the hypocrisy that I see playing out, considering we see some similarities when it comes to the way people feel about the charges brought against Diddy that we specifically have brought to the public's attention when it came to Robert Kelly, and why we are questioning if there is a real effort to get a pardon for R. Kelly, considering so many people are willing to entertain the topic when it comes to Diddy, but you don't see that same energy when it comes to R. Kelly. Contrary to what we have heard about Diddy speaking ill of Trump and now wanting a pardon from him, we can clearly say that we have never heard the same when it came to Robert Kelly. We did see way back in the past mentions that Robert Kelly was supposed to be performing at Trump's inauguration, and it was also put out here by the same media outlet a lot of these so-called history of abuse allegations that has surrounded Robert Kelly for years prior to a making of Surviving R. Kelly. So when I started to pull specific articles such as the Chicago Tribune and all of the things that they have reported inaccurately about Robert Kelly, and as a biased journalist I might add, it should be obvious why I hold a lot of these platforms accountable for the misdirection they've led people when it comes to how they feel about Robert Kelly. Some have confused my purpose in going back to a lot of the information that has saturated these platforms, and it was also strategically done considering as I began to read through these indictments that were brought before the public, it should be also clear why I found a problem with them wanting to so-called hide the identity of these accusers who were all over these platforms doing the most with these interviews. When we saw a person like Tasha K blatantly display that she was getting all this source information from these so-called bad act witnesses and other people involved in the allegations that were not credible from my perspective. So what I did was I began to unravel all of the stories which led me to this person, to that person, to this person. And I find it very hypocritical that people would want to expose certain people in Robert Kelly's case, whether they were accusers or whether they were part of his inner circle. It all looked crazy as hell from the person looking on the outside looking in, who could clearly see the manipulation going on these platforms.
Sean Diddy Combs,
Right.
would you consider pardoning him?
Well, he was essentially, I guess, sort of half innocent.
Yes.
I don't know what they do. He's still in jail or something, but he was celebrating a victory, but he seems, I guess it wasn't as good as a victory. Probably, you know, I was very friendly with him. I got along with him great, and seemed like a nice guy. I didn't know him well. But when I ran for office, he was very hostile.
He said some not so nice things about you, sir.
Yeah, and it's hard, you know, like you, we're human beings.
Right.
And we don't like to have things cloud our judgment, right? But when you knew someone and you were fine, and then you run for office and he made some terrible statements. So I don't know, it's more difficult. It makes it more, I'm being honest, it makes it more difficult to do.
But more likely a no for Combs,
I would say so.
Okay.
Now, it doesn't take a genius to recognize the direction I'm going with this specific video, considering, as I've said from the beginning of my research, the fact that a lot of these provocateurs came out here to give their stories, not to mention individuals from R. Kelly's so-called inner circle linking up with fans that had me side-eyeing people all over the place. So it should be obvious why I decided to switch the game up and do my own research, regardless of the fact that I've said ample times a lot of us have shared the same sources. And I find it very suspect that we are to believe that R. Kelly reached out to an individual by the name of Jen Perryman, who also testified against him in his '08 trial when he was in need of help, because according to her, as you saw in the screenshot that just went by, she said Robert Kelly was hanging around some suspicious type of characters. But at the end of the day, we have seen a detailed history of a lot of the suspicious type of characters that engulfed themselves around Robert Kelly that gave me so much reasonable doubt, especially when we saw Robert Kelly being charged under the RICO Enterprise Act as the only person part of this enterprise, as they allude to a so-called inner circle being part of this enterprise that they never intended to charge.
So what the fuck I'm gonna keep talking to you motherfuckers for? Like, it is what it is. Like, I got real shit going on behind the scenes. Like, shit that put a motherfucker in jail for 100 years. Like, all this shit that y'all done enough. Y'all done the work. You know what I mean? I didn't make you. I didn't get on the phone and make nobody witness intimidate or bully or threaten or solicit crimes against people's businesses. I didn't do that. I didn't do that. I didn't do any of that. So most of the time, after y'all had a full day of witness intimidating and bullying and saying fucked up shit about the feds and threatening and putting motherfuckers' pictures and heads and shit cut off and doing all of that, my nights, most of the time, when I'm not doing shit like paperwork for my business and make sure my taxes and shit straight, I'm up recording and putting together different emails that need to go to different people. You know, my job is not to provoke you to do all of these fucking things. My job is to fucking record it and make sure that it get into the hands of the people that can do something about it. I can't do anything to these people.
Now, what's sad is so many people that still want to be a source of distraction on these platforms when it comes to Robert Kelly. So I don't expect the World Wide Web to be privy to a lot of the research that many of us had put forward to get to the bottom of some of these salacious allegations, especially when we saw an ineffective counsel at work. And all of these people who claim to support Robert Kelly, claiming they had all the information to free R. Kelly, still to this day can't even capitalize on the momentum they could have in pushing the facts, putting their personal feelings and attacks to the side, and forgetting that when you speak on Prima, I'm gonna motherfucking clear the record because I put all this information out here for a reason. If people chose not to go and do their own research and wanted to get offended by my collages because they can't break them down, tough cookie. At the end of the day, none of the things that I researched were about me, and the fact of the matter is, a lot of the things that individuals such as the voice you just heard put forth, and that was aforementioned in Bo Brentley's complaint against the government, considering we saw how they allowed all of this corruption impede the so-called pursuit of justice these people on these platforms claim they want. I mean, after all, people will skip the fact that Bo Brentley is Daryl McDavid's attorney just the same. So at the end of the day, it's looking a little bit suspicious when we hear things like they're not going the traditional way to get a pardon for Robert Kelly. And so many people have the impression that his attorneys have given up. It should be clear as day why I said people that have graced the same platforms should have been focusing on the valid information that these janky-ass private investigators and other attorneys failed to present on behalf of Robert Kelly, as quickly as these individuals gracing these platforms could be misconstrued with acting on R. Kelly's behalf, considering we know Robert Kelly was not harassing no witnesses. He wasn't out here trying to intimidate nobody. But we saw a lot of witness tampering and coercion going on across the board. So when these people tiptoe around the Mann Act that I still don't believe was proven beyond a reasonable doubt when it came to Robert Kelly, it should be also clear that they clearly made their point when it came to the Mann Act, when it came to Diddy. However, he wasn't convicted of sex trafficking like Robert Kelly. Somebody make this shit make sense. Because don't worry, we still gonna stay tuned to see all these unsealed documents that are supposed to be dropping in R. Kelly's case.
We value your opinions and encourage you to share your thoughts in the comments section below. Your feedback is essential in fostering engaging discussions and improving our content. Don't forget to like this video if you found it informative and share it with others who might be interested. Subscribe to our channel for more insightful clips, ensuring you stay updated with our latest content. We appreciate your support.
Something good.